clean, fresh stereo sound. We have 20 minutes after 7. It's time for solutions right here on WEFM 99.9. Just a quick piece of information. Credit Union Limited are hereby informed of a meeting scheduled for today, February 18th, 2020. The meeting will be at the Methodist Church Hall building and commences at 4:30 p.m. The meeting is called to discuss the KUT/Med Group Health Insurance, the plan with its providers, Vinsure and Najicare. All are kindly asked to make a special effort to attend and to be on time. All right. Today is newspaper day. Yes, the Searchlight newspaper is available. These are not on the newsstands. These are on the Searchlight.vc platform. This is the online newspaper. In the headlines for today, the people have made their choice. The Best of SVG 2020 awardees announced. Ministry revises decision about an isolation facility at Evesham. Quarantine order issued by the court for 15 persons. There is no coronavirus. The medals of honor. All-female boat crew of Beckway sailing tournament. You don't have to be naked to sell carnival costumes, says the CDC. St. Vincent had the grenadines to offer scholarships to Ghana. Sports, stories from the court, health advice, and much more. Searchlight, journalism you can trust. Check us out online at searchlight.vc. Right. So, I wanted to touch this, but a few things popped up that I didn't get to address it. I touched it briefly on Facebook. There is this show called What You Know. I just want to know if you know, or I know, or where anybody, some kind of thing. It's a funny show though. It's a really funny show. But some people have taken it perhaps to another level. And it's trying to put too much emotions into it. Real emotions into it. So I just want to bring some context this morning. Because we like to forget things. So perhaps with some context, I can bring some reality, shed some light on the whole thing. Now to begin with, the show itself is a show for kicks, for jokes, for laughs. So perhaps if you begin to approach it from that angle, you're going to realize that they are going to try to handpick a few people. They're going to handpick a few people who they believe may mess up. Because there are some trick questions. And people who don't listen and process fast enough may get caught up. It's not that they're stupid, it's not that they're dumb, it's not that they don't know the answer, it's just that they don't process fast enough. I remember at primary school, when them fellas like Neil Henry it was, Bernard used to teach like the social sciences, but Neil used to teach math. And he used to drill the tables, multiplication tables into you. He used to drill them into you. Like a policeman. So he have his strap over his shoulder. Now, Neil is a Henry. Yeah, we're related. He's a Henry. That makes him a big man. Isn't he size of me? Yes, Neil big. She has some hand, like hams. And with a strap over his back. And he have his hand put it. The fear of Jehovah will descend upon you. I used to freeze up. Yes, I know the answer. But it's to get it out within 2 seconds. So you have to process fast. And by the time you blink, 5 times 19, pow! It's like a samurai. It's like you know kung fu or something. And then process fast enough, you get a strap. Yeah. It forced us though to process faster, to memorize better and all the nice things, whether it worked or not, because I still ain't no math genius, so as long as Jules pay me right, I could count them maths day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't mess with that maths day, I good. There was no sense in beating me all them kind of time there. But that's what it is. Some of us don't process fast enough. Doesn't make us dunce. But the show is for kicks. And if you've watched the show from all of the Caribbean countries, you would understand. I hear some people saying, oh, education revolution has failed. This is what the education revolution has turned out. I don't want to say whose page I saw it on, because I don't want nobody to attack him. So I don't want to make it about him. But that surprised me the most, because this is a very intelligent man who said the education revolution failed. Well, there's another friend of mine who played politics with it, but that's who he is. He's into politics and things. But this man actually said that's a failure of the education revolution. The truth is, almost, all of them, all of the people who were questioned were born before the education revolution kicked in. So, if it is a failure of the education revolution, probably we need to go back to 1974 and reset the clock, because some of the people I saw there are some people who old. There's this gentleman who, as old as I am, have a small business, and he believed verbally abusing people, even to your customers, is the order of the day. So his responses didn't surprise me with his foolishness. But after 12 is lunch, at a time when everybody fighting against sexual abuse of our minors, there's this Rasta man older than me. I don't know how education revolution could have fixed him, because all he wanted to do is to chant his Rasta thing. Nothing to do with the questions. That's him. One or two others. But nobody there are products of the education revolution. If we compare and contrast, we will realize, though, that in some of those other countries, we saw people who appear to be professional people. Yeah. Actually saw one in a security guard uniform, and he couldn't spell security. Them fellas didn't ask them kind of questions here in St. Vincent. You have on a uniform with the word security on it, and we saw that in other countries. I saw children of school age who didn't even know things about their own country. Local trivia. We are not supposed to be getting emotional about something that was supposed to be funny like this. I don't understand that. But the truth is, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have achieved so much that perhaps because we achieve it so much that it becomes commonplace and we begin to take it for granted. One of the biggest achievements is that the school leavers program was abolished, and everybody now have a chance to enter secondary school, whether you passed the assessment or not. Those who pass it on the higher end will be zoned and dealt with, and then they still will absorb all those who didn't make the average grade. There'll still be a place for them. You know what was the beautiful thing? Those people who didn't even make that still getting 5 and 6 subjects. They would have gotten none if that didn't kick in. We don't clap and sing for these things, you know. We don't celebrate them. We look at them and troops like, ain't no big deal. Yes, it is a big deal. It is a life-changing deal. The school leavers used to have to do woodwork and this and that, and I felt cheated, you know. Yes, because here I am in junior 5. It was juniors at that time. It was junior 5. And I see them fellows upstairs making their own chair and making their own center table. I said, boy, I want to do that. But at that time, it seems as if you could only do carpentry if you are on the lower end of the academic spectrum. And that is why up to now, some people still look down on certain jobs, because only people at a certain level of education would have gotten into these programs. Thank God that ain't happening anymore. Because now we have technical vocational centers all around the country preparing artisans, we call them. Carpenter, mason, electrician, plumbers of the highest order. Educated people. In order to get into these programs, you have to have at least reached Form 3, at a Form 3 level of education. Doesn't that tell you something? But we don't clap and sing for that. We don't celebrate none of these things. And anything just keep getting better and better. I come from a time when 9 subjects was plenty subjects. And when you get 10 subjects, boy, you are extraordinary. And then you hit a 11 and you go like, whoa, boy, that man, they're brighty. What? But I give the bright boy 11 subjects. Now 11 subjects is perhaps something that almost anybody could attain. There's a huge average of our youngsters getting 11 subjects. The numbers are now pushing to 15 and 16 and them kind of numbers there. And 19 and them kind of numbers there. We hear in the region people getting 21 and them kind of numbers there. But we're not clapping and singing for that. We're not shouting for that. But the moment somebody go on a TV show that is for kicks and say, what do you guys say? 370? He obviously wasn't processing fast enough. And this one, I really didn't like the after 12 is lunch comment. I won't pretend it was funny, and I have a great sense of humor. I mean, that was without good taste. The fella himself, anyway, don't want it to be about him, so I ain't gonna give you no hype or no vibe. But it doesn't surprise me, because that's the kind of person he is. But by and large, that show does not reflect Vincentians. Doesn't. The Vincentian landscape is now rivaling that of the Barbadian landscape, where Bajans used to be perhaps the brightest in the region at one time. We're rivaling that now. Valedictorians in all campuses in one whole year, and we probably did that twice over. Every campus, the top performing student was a Vincentian. All campuses of the University of the West Indies. A Vincentian. In fact, the council heads, those who are running for president of student unions and things, at one time, all was Vincentian in all campuses. Not so long ago, a few years back. But we don't clap and sing for these things. Why? Huh? Our Villa campus, well, not just the Villa campus, but our community college, there are plans to annex it with a university in Canada. And perhaps the average Vincentian doesn't even know that. The average Vincentian perhaps doesn't even know that. And to top it off, the enrollment at all campuses of the University of the West Indies is headed by Vincentians. We lead in all campuses. Outside of the host country, we have more people in every campus of the University of the West Indies than any other country. That tells you the importance of education. That tells you how educated our people are. Long ago, you could have torn up your nose when you have a degree, because it's probably you alone. Not now. Everybody have a degree. Everybody now pushing for their masters. And we getting plenty doctorates popping up now. But we're not clapping and singing for that. The education revolution is not failing. It has not failed from the beginning. It's not failing. Like in everything else, there will be some shortcomings. And what we have to do is make some systematic changes to the way we teach. That's all we have to do, really. Perhaps we need to look carefully at how we overload curriculums, because we are losing some children who are not processing fast enough. We have a classroom of 30 students and we want to teach all 30 students at the same pace, when some will not get it unless you go over it 10 times. Some will get it the moment you say A. I believe in gifted classrooms, gifted schools, gifted institutions. When children are achieving a certain IQ, you give them the competency-based test. And if they score high in these, that's the school they go to. And if the parents can't afford it, we make sure that we find programs that pay for it. Because there comes the minds that will produce the inventions and the innovations. Sometimes it's unfair holding back two students in a class that is just firing 1,000 miles per hour. Because you have to slow down the pace because of the rest. And it is all, cannot get it no matter how hard you try. It's going to hold back the entire class because you have to go over it over and over. And you know, sadly, some teachers don't go over and over. They just leave them. We spot these students and we place them in institutions that teach at that level. So instead of we pushing for Form 1, Form 2, Form 3 and them kind of thing in them kind of schools, what we are going to do is keep these children until they get to where they can stand on their own. Specialized teaching, specialized schools. You see this high school and grammar school business? But no, I just feel bad sometimes when I look at what is happening at some of these schools. Because when you look at the grades of some of these students, you wonder, wait. Aren't these supposed to be the brightest students ever? But, well, yeah, some parents live in denial. But the numbers don't lie. These parents ought to be called in, principal, ministry officials, all of these, and say, hey, your child will be moved from this institution to that institution because this is where your child is going to learn. This is where your child is learning. They say the slower ones will feel left out. How to go? Donnie, I agree with you with the gifted classrooms, but the Ministry of Education has a different policy. They say the slower ones will feel left out. You know what will happen? They ain't just feel left out, they will eventually get left out. Because we're aiming towards CXEs and external exams. When the exam gives you 1 hour to answer 50 questions, children who are slower, what do you think that's happened to them? Tell me what you think that's happened to them. But if the policy about how we approach all this thing changes, then we're going to begin to see some real growth. Real growth. And it's growth that we want. We ain't want numbers and statistics. It is one thing to say one child get 15 subjects. But she comes from a classroom of 30. And the average grade in that classroom now is 6 subjects. Because about 20 of them got 6 subjects. And only about 3 of them get above 10. That look like success to you? Because if it's bragging rights alone that we want, then fine. If it's statistics alone that we're looking at to say, yeah, this school got the top performance, then yeah. But sometimes when I look at people who I went to secondary school and I like, boy, this look like a whole waste of time. Because if you're going to spend 5 years in secondary school so that you could, and 2 years in college, so that you could go and become a farmer. Partner, you should have gone and done farming from Form 3. Because at Form 3, you could have done 2 or 3 tests. Some competency-based tests. There are some level tests for that. English, math, and some basic stuff. You want to pass it at that level, it gives you access to certain things, and you're good. If that's what you're interested in, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you're geared towards, fine. We need to change the way we approach this whole thing. It's like if every Monday morning I'm seeing a story coming out of North America. These countries are looking for skilled workers. Skilled workers. They're declaring that skilled work is the way to go. These are the people making the real money now. Huh? Yeah, they're the people making the real money. But these are the people who we look down on because they probably would have come from the lower curve of the academic spectrum. So we look down on them. I saw a lawyer pay a fella $60 to change an air filter. The air filter is a container so with a cover. You open it with your hand. You take out the filter, put it down, take the new one, rest it in, close it back. $60 to do that. But he didn't even know what the air filter was. The man smiled and said, they just have to pay. They want to play bright, they just have to pay. There was a part of me that said, boy, you're real dishonest, man. You're real dishonest. But there's a part of me that understood exactly what he was coming from because, yes, they're the ones who get looked down on because, yeah, you're a bit too bright. That is why you end up being a mechanic. But these are the jobs now that are paying even more than what the lawyer making. Well, I think sometimes they have to charge $10,000 for letterhead. Oh, sorry, I'm going in the wrong direction. Wrong thing. So, yeah, I tell you, as long as we change the way, like some of these policies, then we will perhaps get somewhere. But don't feel so bad when you look at these shows and you see somebody make a boo-boo. Because that's what this show is really about. They didn't show us no school children who don't even know where Georgetown is. Huh? They didn't show no school children who don't know how to spell. Then we would have said the education revolution failing by. Because I saw plenty videos of him at secondary schools and all.
Did you know?
Well, how you gonna play that? I tell you play that? What is this? That's not what I tell you play. I tell you click this one here. So, right. So, we need teachers with the skills to detect areas of weakness in our students. Yes, we have teachers like that. I know we have teachers like that. I know that for a fact. You know where the weakness is? Policy. We don't want to separate the children who are gifted and put them all in one school. That way teaching will become so easy. Imagine we have people coming back here who have studied all kind of thing in all kind of countries all about in specialized teaching. But they don't get specialized schools to teach in. No. You've gone and studied pedagogy. Or pedagogy, one of them was it. And you come back to teach Spanish at a primary school. Huh? Or you come back to teach social studies at a primary school. Waste of time. Waste of money. Waste of... Policy changes is what we're looking for. Let's put those who are really gifted in the schools that they will just take off. Nothing to hold them back. The teachers who are teaching them will just and put those who really need help in numeracy, literacy, put them in a particular setting where the teaching will be different and we get them at their level. If we can't do that, there are some who are just not wired like that. So you put them in an institution where they are going to get the basic core skills and we don't lose them. Because many of our boys and girls have dropped out of school because they cannot understand a thing. They go to the classroom and they sit there and they gaze all around. They do not understand a single thing that's going on in the classroom because it is way above their level. Way above their level. And we lose them. So they eventually stop coming to school. And then they end up on the side of the road begging. And then they grow out of the begging to stealing. And then eventually we get some hardened criminals. When we could have put the certain things in place to capture them at their level. But it is early days yet. Maybe one day we'll wake up and decide, hey, we have to do this. Enough. All the policymakers of the Ministry of Education, come now, man. Let's forget about how we used to do it in 1980 and 1970. Let's forget about how we used to do it and where America doing and how England doing it. And let's start to do it to save ourselves. Just how you were bold enough to institute an education revolution way ahead of the prescribed time. It's 2025, that is it, right? We don't take that on long time. Huh? We don't take that on long time. We were bold enough to make these steps. It is time that we make the bold steps in order to say, in the end, that we can truly